4 disturbing truths. The creepypasta. Psychosis reveals about our modern world. There's a constant low hum of anxiety that accompanies a life lived through screens. It's in the unanswered texts, the uncanny DMs from phantom accounts, the unsettling feeling of being hyperconnected yet profoundly isolated. We trust our digital windows to the world, but we also harbor a quiet fear of who or what might be looking back. The seminal creepypasta Psychosis endures because it functions as a perfect allegory for this modern condition of being physically isolated but digitally exposed. It takes our baseline paranoia and pushes it to its absolute, terrifying limit. More than just a horror story, it offers 4 chilling reflections of our reality that feel more plausible with every passing year. Our digital connections are frighteningly fragile. The horror in Psychosis doesn't begin with a supernatural event, but with the slow, creeping decay of trusted communication channels. The protagonist, a programmer isolated in his basement apartment, first notes that friends are perpetually idle online, and his emails go unanswered. This slow burn of digital silence escalates into active menace when he tries to call his best friend, Amy. The call fails, but he immediately receives a bizarre wrong number. A male voice who confirms the protagonist's name is John, then abruptly hangs up. Seconds later, Amy calls back from an unfamiliar number. The story weaponizes these subtle, uncanny glitches in our digital communications to create a uniquely modern form of gaslighting, making the protagonist question the very reality of his connections. This culminates in a masterful moment of sensory horror. Amy claims to be at a party, but the protagonist is unnerved not by a monstrous sound, but by its complete absence. Our brains are wired to process ambient data and communication. The hum of a room, the chatter of a crowd, the rush of wind. When that data is missing, an uncanny valley opens up. The story exploits the deep paranoia that arises when the sensory proof of reality vanishes from our lifelines, turning a tool of connection into a source of profound dread.
She said she was at a party, but I only heard silence in the background. Of course, that doesn't mean anything in particular, as she could have just gone outside to make the call. No, that couldn't be it either. I didn't hear the wind.
The most perfect explanation can be the ultimate deception. As the protagonist's terror peaks, the story introduces its most brilliant psychological weapon, a perfectly rational explanation. A psychiatrist, speaking from the other side of his door, diagnoses him with cyberpsychosis, a nationwide epidemic of paranoia triggered by a suggestive email. It's a logical, scientific framework that accounts for every strange occurrence, offering a comforting off-ramp from a terrifying reality. In a world saturated with misinformation, this narrative device taps into the seductive appeal of conspiracy theories, totalizing explanations that offer a simple narrative for complex, frightening events. The psychiatrist's diagnosis is a comforting lie, designed to make the protagonist lower his defenses and open the door. The story's counterintuitive lesson is that choosing the uncomfortable, fragmented truth over the perfect explanation is an act of intellectual and existential courage. In an age of algorithmic reality bubbles and curated truths, the story argues that trusting your gut against a mountain of convenient evidence can be the only thing that saves you.
It's a perfect explanation for every single strange thing I've seen or heard, and I have every reason in the world to let all of my fears go and open the door. That's exactly why I'm not going to.
3. Your deepest secrets aren't safe from a watching eye. In a final desperate attempt to trick the protagonist, the entity posing as Amy uses his most private, cherished memory against him, the day they first met at a playground. It's a secret he believes exists only in his mind and his private journal, a memory too pure to be corrupted by the digital nightmare unfolding around him. The horrifying reveal is not a sophisticated NSA hack or a piece of advanced spyware, but the banal betrayal of forgotten technology. The entity knew this secret because it had been watching him write in his journal through the lens of an old discarded webcam he'd tossed aside. The horror here is rooted in its mundanity. Our homes are graveyards of obsolete gadgets, each a potential Trojan horse. This moment isn't just about a data breach, it's the violation of memory itself. A chilling commentary on our careless relationship with the technology we invite into our most intimate spaces.
An overwhelming terror took me as I realized that if something could see through that camera, it would have seen what I just wrote about that day. I asked her for any one thing about us, and she chose the only thing in the world that I thought they or it did not know. But it did.
Four, the ultimate hack targets. Not the computer, but the eyeball. Psychosis spends most of its length building a technological horror story centered on phones and webcams. But in its final act, it makes a terrifying conceptual leap into ontological horror, collapsing the boundary between technology and biology. The site of the attack shifts from the machine to the human body itself. This revelation is triggered by a cryptic email sent from a friend the protagonist hadn't heard from in a long time, to a massive contact list, a desperate, last-ditch broadcast from another victim. The message, "Seen with your own eyes, don't trust them," finally clicks into place. As unseen forces bash against his door, the protagonist realizes that our eyes are no different from a camera. Both are simply devices that convert light into electrical signals. If a camera feed can be hijacked, why not the feed from an eye? This twist retroactively infects every prior event, making the horror absolute and inescapable. The final, chilling paragraph confirms his fear, revealing the doctor is not a person, but a puppet. The enemy isn't on the screen. It's hardwired into our perception of reality itself.
Oh my God, what's the difference between a camera and my eyes? They both turn light into electrical signals. They're the same.
Conclusion? Who is watching you? Read this. Psychosis endures as a cornerstone of internet horror, not just because it's scary, but because it's a deeply resonant allegory for life in a digitally saturated world. It expertly maps our anxieties about digital gaslighting, comforting deceptions, and the banal surveillance we've accepted as normal. But its final, terrifying truth elevates it from a cautionary tale to a piece of genuine philosophical horror. The story's enduring question is not just who is on the other side of the screen, but whether the very eyes we use to look at it can still be trusted.